Welcome to EnglishX on ICRT, brought to you by MandarinX and Vine Education Company. EnglishX is where managers learn to discuss international business topics in English and to start thinking more like a boss.
欢迎收听 ICRT EnglishX， 每周四早上由中文课和葡萄藤国际语言训练中心特别企划，让您掌握全球商业趋势。
Good morning, everyone. So, one of my students is in trouble. She has a business trip coming up, and her deputy is away on maternity leave. She has to find a new person to delegate some tasks, but there's no one.
So she has no backup plan, and part of running a successful organization is having a very capable person working with you, and delegating is crucial to any business looking to maintain stability or growth.
Exactly. Good morning, everyone. I'm Russ.
And I'm Ting, and together we have been running a successful international business English center, training top companies and top managers in Taiwan, Japan, China, and South America.
Yes, and delegating is very important, but how can we learn to delegate better? That is today's topic.
Hot topic.
Improve your English as we discuss real-world problems many English students have at work.
让我们看看这礼拜有哪些热门国际商务话题。
First topic, being clear. How can you be sure that the person will do the job correctly?
Well, first of all, you have to let them know what good performance is and what the results you expect are. Timing is also important, for example, when the deadlines are. So you know when and how to receive the results.
Okay. One of the problems I've always had delegating with people is I'm not very clear in the instructions that I give them. I kind of tell them the results and the goal, but I don't really tell them the steps on how to get there.
Right, and a lot of times that's because a lot of our staff, they're still pretty junior, entry level, they're young. So a lot of times we're expecting them to just know how to do it, but we don't think, we're not thinking further of like what little things we can do to help them get to that point.
One thing that has helped me a lot is when I'm giving them directions, I give them timing, because timing is very important. So I don't just tell them the goal, but I tell them, okay, we're going to check up, we're going to have step 1, step 2, step 3, and we agree on those steps, when we'll check in and what we'll do, to make sure that the task I gave them is going in the right direction. And if it's not going in the right direction, I always have a checkpoint where I can say, oh, this is not going the right way that I want it to go, so we can shift over and I can assist where needed.
Well, and on that note, do you think you need to watch over their shoulder each step of the way?
Yes and no. There has to be a balance. You can't you can't just especially like you said, if they're junior employees or they're doing something new, something for the first time, then at that time you have to be a little bit more controlling, or you have to be more hands-on.
Right. Right. I totally agree. I think once you put in the hours or put in the time to actually coach them through things, you'll find out that all that in time invested will pay off in the end. After, and it could take months, it could even take a year. But by a year, they're actually very self-reliant. They're able to do a lot of the work without you asking. But that meant you have to put in a lot of hours in the very beginning.
Training them.
Yeah, in the training part of it.
And patience.
Yes, it helps.
All right. So what kind of power do I need to give my employees?
You can say you need just enough power to get the job done. I think you have to empower them, but I guess it depends on the project. So sometimes you need them to.
I'm a little concerned when you say you have to empower them, because working with so many Taiwanese companies, I find that many bosses, CEOs, they say empower, but they don't really empower their employees.
Well, perhaps their definition is different.
Okay, what would you say their definition is?
Empower on paper. Empower on paper, but not empower in a practical sense.
So like undermining what they do.
Or in the end, a lot of let's say what we call it, line managers, director level, they end up doing the job for the person under them because they feel the person under them is not doing it up to the expectation that's expected.
But then what I feel is employees kind of get used to, oh, my boss is going to take over, so I don't have to do it 100%, because I don't have to do it 100% because I know that he's going to review it and he's going to fix all my mistakes.
Yeah. And one of my students who works in training a lot, he mentioned to me actually empowerment means the ability to give them decision-making power. So that means they get to make the final call on a lot of, let's say, questions, requests, tasks that need to be done, and it's not really up to the boss's decision.
All right. So what if they make a mistake?
If they make a mistake, they shouldn't be blamed, at least not immediately. They shouldn't get their finger pointed at them. Otherwise, you run the risk of them becoming defensive and not wanting to take risks again.
Well, anytime you're blaming someone, and one thing that I hate is when the project is not done correctly, they start saying, "Oh, it wasn't my fault. It was so and so's fault, or this department didn't do this on time, or they did this wrong." Blah blah.
Right. So a key thing to that is avoid the blame game. You should reprimand if they really are making, I guess, bad mistakes, so they're not repeating it. However, you should also commend and compliment when they do gain some success or do something well.
Well, you shouldn't, take credit for their success. Basically, you should give credit when their success is due.
Yeah, give credit where credit's due, and also giving them more opportunities. Unless sometimes there's some cases that are maybe too complex, where the boss or manager needs to step in.
All right. So, how often should I delegate?
Well, I think you shouldn't wait until you're overwhelmed with tasks to start delegating them and passing out, because then otherwise the staff will feel like you're just throwing a bunch of stuff on their table and say, all right, take care of that. And then and now they feel like, oh crap, I was already doing my regular job and now I have all this stuff my boss just laid on my lap, last minute. So employees tend to not like that.
Well, one thing that I noticed is a lot of bosses tend to start delegating when it's too late. They're overwhelmed, they're doing too much work, so then it's like, oh, I need help, so I'm going to assign this to this person, but that person isn't sufficiently trained to be able to do that task.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So what if they really, really screw up, though?
Well, hopefully you've taught them ownership. So one way you teach ownership is by demonstrating it. You lead by example.
Yeah, people, I guess, all the people in the company, they look up to who the leader is. So if you're the leader, sometimes that does mean falling on the blade, even if you weren't specifically involved in that mistake.
Yeah. I remember one time we played a prank on one of our employees on her birthday, and we basically asked the student to fake that the teacher never showed up for class. And we photoshopped the teacher's schedule to look like he didn't have that class. So she thought maybe it was her mistake, her fault for not sending the teacher the correct schedule.
The prank worked.
Yeah, the whole time the student and the teacher, they were in class together. We were just pranking her for her birthday. But I love that our colleague was recording her, and when she was just like, oh, go tell Russ, go tell Ting, she refused to. Because the first thing she did is, I can fix this. I can fix this. So before even telling us, she took ownership of that problem. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to fix this mistake. And anytime we were pushing her so we can fake it, get mad at her, she was like, if I can fix it, they don't need to know about it.
Right.
And that's, yeah.
And the cake came out and everything. We're like, already? You're sitting there singing the song. And she's like, she wasn't even hearing it. She was still focused on trying to fix the problem, not knowing it wasn't a problem the whole time.
Yeah. So leading by example is something bosses have to learn how to do. Okay, good.
Hashtag like a boss. Each week we talk to real-world bosses to find out their secrets for success.
现在到了每周 EnglishX 访问时间。
Hello everyone. With us today we have Nigel.
Hello everybody.
Nigel is one of the head teachers here at Vine Education Company, and when I am not in the office, I delegate a lot of my tasks over to him. I have been traveling a lot recently, so I needed to take some time off. How can we as bosses better prepare you to do the tasks that you need?
I believe open communication, sometimes clear instructions, what the expectations are of the task given to you.
So what do you do when you don't know how to do something that you were assigned to do?
Well, again, open communication, meaning if I'm not sure how to do something, I should not be afraid to go in and ask, I'm not sure how to do this. How can I do this?
But can your Taiwanese students do this to their bosses?
Unfortunately, no. A lot of them have had that thing where they're like, I didn't know how to do this, but I just hashed out something and it wasn't good. It felt like maybe it was too rushed, or they didn't do enough research, or they just didn't know how to do
So
it.
why can't they just go up to their bosses and say, "Hey, I need some help with this"?
I believe it's either they're afraid to look unprofessional, right? They're afraid to look incompetent. But I really feel like, because, for example, with my company, with us, we have this open communication where if I tell you and you tell me, then we can bring out a better quality product.
Okay. So what would your recommendation be to employees that work at companies that don't have that strong open communication?
Well, you can do a lot of things. Find out, do some research, ask questions. Don't be afraid to. Okay, if it might not be your boss, but it could be somebody else. How did you do this? How can you just give me a pointer, or how can I achieve this goal?
Direction,
Right.
where to go.
Just
Okay.
give me a direction.
So what happens when your students are overwhelmed with the tasks that they have?
Well, see, that comes to how to handle your tasks, how to handle your time management, and just prioritizing what is more important at the time. I guess, yeah.
All right, good. Well, you've been doing great work with us, and
you.
I do have one question. And be honest, does Ting micromanage?
Wait, can I answer that?
Of course, he's not here, so I don't really care.
Yes, he definitely micromanages. He will give you instructions and illustrations and instructions and get back to you verbally and talk to you. But
I'm the exact opposite, though. So, like, I know he does that. He sends these long ass emails. But how about me? On the other hand, I kind of just tell you, hey, can you do this? Do it this way. It's there, and I step away.
right. And so, you know what though? It's a great dynamic, as it were, because with your style, which is okay, I need this done, that kind of gives a person room to maneuver. I now know, like, okay, this is what we want, but if I use it like this, as long as we get to the goal,
Okay.
right? As opposed to micromanagement by Ting.
Long emails.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna get you in trouble with this. All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Mailbag.
Do you have a question? Well, we have answers. Email us at icrt@vinec.com or on the web at vinec.com/icrt.
有任何问题，欢迎发送到 ICRT@vineec.com 或者到葡萄藤网站 vineec.com/ICRT.
First, Tim from Taipei says, "Do you think English is a global language?"
Tim, right?
Tim, yes.
Yeah, Tim, duh. No, in all seriousness, English is a global business language. You can't avoid it. It's in some ways it's kind of unfortunate that English is the only, but I can say, I mean, our business is only here because English is a global business and it's needed in Asia and Taiwan and in other countries.
Definitely.
How do you use English to advance your career?
The way I would tell all my students, because they always think, oh, English is important, but they never apply what they're learning. They just learn it because they want to get, like, oh, look, I got a high score on my TOEIC exam. That means I can speak English, blah, blah, blah. But they don't really take advantage of the knowledge that they have because they speak English. There's two things that can happen. One, a lot of material is written in English. A lot of self-help books, business books, a lot of research papers, all of that is done in English. So if you can read it, you have access to all that knowledge. Second thing, English really opens doors for you in terms of opportunities.
Yeah.
You can meet lots of people, international people, and you can use Chinese all the time. You can use Chinese at work with your clients, all that stuff. But when it comes to doing international business, when it comes to being that CEO, GM level, you're going to have to participate in conference calls. You're going to have to go to meetings and international conferences, and you're going to have to mingle with people in English. So there are many times, even in your regional office, even if your main office is Greater China or Hong Kong or
Singapore,
whatever,
right.
Singapore, you're still going to have to create and write all these documents and do all these conference calls with people from the Americas, people from the other areas, from Europe. So you can use English in order to build your own network and build your own value within the organization.
Yeah, and another thing to add is, in terms of advancing your career, a lot of companies even set rules or set a certain score. A lot of companies do set that standard. So, for example, a common number is 800 on the TOEIC, right? To reach a mid-management position.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But we're not inventing the rules here. Those are the rules invented by, those are the rules set by the company. And if you work in that company, you kind of have to follow those
Well,
rules.
I love it when I get a student that has, like a 750 on their TOEIC exam, and I'm like, hey, how are you? They go, fine, thank you. And you? And I'm like, oh my God, you're just an English book.
Right.
Yeah, just reciting. Okay. Thank you. That question was from Cindy, also from Taipei.
Next one comes from James in Xindian. James asks, how can you prepare for an English presentation?
I'll tell you exactly what you should not do, and this is what most of you do, most of my Taiwanese audience over here, is you guys prepare that script. I absolutely hate it when you guys just, you sit down, I have a presentation, you start writing what you're going to say, and you stand up there and read it for me. I absolutely hate that.
The risk of doing that is it's going to end up sounding, well, like I said, it's going to sound scripted, sound robotic, it's going to sound boring, and it lacks any kind of, emotion.
It's not a presentation. I mean, if you're going to do that, just send me your script, and I can read it myself, and I don't need you.
But I'm going to slightly disagree with you on that point, because I think for, let's say, beginner level or even low intermediate speakers of English, the script really is a way to help practice and then get comfortable with the content. And I've seen it firsthand where it helps a student really get more and more confident. When they get to the point where they don't need it, but initially they use it to get to feel comfortable with the language.
Initially, but then it becomes a habit or a crutch, and they say, oh, this is the only way, this is how I have to do it. Once you become adequate, then you just rely solely on the script.
Yeah, because the script, if you're focusing most of your time in the preparation stage of just writing the script out, then you're not focusing a lot on the delivery aspect of practicing your tone, your posture, your eye contact, some of the intangibles of presentations, which makes it stand out more.
But that's what a presentation is. It's the intangibles. It's not just the letters on the screen.
Yeah, so I would say to prepare, you should prepare at least probably 50% on just rehearsing it, doing it in front of a camera, in front of a mirror, getting used to seeing yourself, hearing your voice, seeing how you talk, how you're using your hands and then your eye contact and all that stuff.
James, get a friend, get a colleague, get someone to listen to you present, and have them give you honest advice.
Yeah, we've had a lot of students, we've asked them to ask their husbands or their kids to watch them do a presentation in English, and at first they feel a little bit embarrassed about it, but in the end, when they actually have to do the thing, deliver it, it's always come back, it's always had a positive or a successful, result.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Remember, you can always go to our website, vinec.com/ICRT, to send your questions and comments, or you can email us at icrt@vinec.com.
Yeah, keep on coming. We really appreciate it.
Get inspired.
Here are some quotes to help you think more like a boss.
现在来讨论学习动机。
So the quote that I'm going to share with you is a quote that if any of you follow any of my social media, you know that I often use #LikeABoss. And my friends always tease me for this because they think I'm being snobbish. They're like, oh, you have a company, so you're a boss. So that's why you write that. But no, that's not why I do that. Like a boss to me is a symbol saying that, hey, everything that you do it like a boss. Doesn't matter what your position is in the company. You're cleaning floors, you're washing windows, you're making French fries. Doesn't matter what you're doing. You do it like a boss. You're the boss of that floor. You're the boss of that window. You're a boss of that deep fryer. You are the boss of that. Take ownership of it and do it to the best of your abilities. So anytime you do something and you do it very, very well, do it like a boss.
Not because of that one Lonely Island song?
not because of that song. You guys should Google it. But no, definitely. That's my mentality. Everything you do it like a boss.
Right. Agreed. So the next quote, I took this one, actually. I stole it from you because I don't read a lot of quotes. This quote is, quote, if you don't ask, you will never know.
And one day I will share this story because it's an excellent story how I got this quote.
Okay, maybe another time.
Another time.
Yeah. Well, the quote, if you don't ask, you never know, kind of, it's almost self-explanatory in a way. I grew up kind of always a shy Asian, I that very stereotypical shy Asian kid who never raised his hand in class. Even in the States, and where we're encouraged to do that, but I always sat in the back, tried to avoid it. And at the same time, I never got any of my questions answered because I was afraid to ask. And throughout my whole life, I always kind of regretted doing that or having that kind of mentality growing up. It wasn't until I became a functional adult to know that you can't live that way because you're going to miss opportunities if you don't at least try.
Like the Michael Jordan quote, you miss 100% of the Wayne Gretzky, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Exactly.
One of those, yeah.
So you have basically the quote means that you'll have 100% chance to fail if you don't try, but at least you have like a 50% chance to succeed if you do, right?
Whatever it is, I just find it going back to seeking knowledge, where I hate it when I'm like in a class and class finishes and then one or two students come up to me and ask a question. I mean, I asked, does anyone have any questions? And nobody raised their hands. And everyone could have benefited from that student's questions, but they're just too shy. They're not open. I don't know what it is. Yep. But basically, if you don't ask, you'll never know. Anything that you want. If you want to know what's that girl's phone number, what's her line, what's her Facebook, whatever, you got to go up and ask her. If you don't ask her, you're not going to know. So don't miss any opportunities, either from dating, from knowledge, from making friends, from making business contacts. Just ask.
Yeah, and you're going to regret it if you don't.
Yeah.
Fast words.
Let's discuss some new words and expressions so we can be more like a boss.
让我们回顾一下今天有哪些重点单字跟片语。
So we have some cards here on the table with some expressions. We're going to go through some English idioms and expressions and make some sentences with them. All right, Ting, pick
first
one.
up, I have here, go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. The definition is to do more than what people expect. Okay. See, this phrase is a little strange because they don't use miles in Taiwan.
Go the extra kilometer.
Yeah, go the extra km. But basically, it means try harder, not just do 100%, but do that 110%. Put in full effort.
Do it like a boss.
Right. So if you are living, quote, like a boss, you will go the extra mile. You're going to go the extra mile for your family. A lot of people actually do that, and some people go the extra mile for their company.
Company, their students, their clients. Just basically do more than normal. Right? My expression I got is my hands are tied. So your hands are tied. This is a great thing to say when you're basically trying to come up with an excuse. You Taiwanese people always say 没办法, 没办法. I absolutely hate that expression. But another nice way to say it in English, you can just say your hands are tied. There's something that the client wants, but you can't do because you don't have the authority to do. So you can just say, sorry, I'd love to help you, but my hands are tied.
It's out of your control.
Exactly.
Next, easy come, easy go. Right? It's not just was that Bruno Mars song? And easy come, easy go means something gained easily, but also lost easily. What's a good example of an actual thing that easy?
That's easy come, easy go. Money. You make money, you make a big sale, you get your salary. Like one thing that in Taiwan, I think salary you can say is easy come, easy go, because in Taiwan they pay your salary all at once. So like the first of the month, you're like, oh, I'm rich, and you start spending all this money. But then by the third or fourth week, you're back to instant noodles.
Yeah, and then in life in general, I remember like 10 years ago, I think when we were working in a company, we were making pretty decent money back then, and I would just spend it all.
UTV.
Taking trips, I was giving my girlfriend like a stipend of like 15-20 grand a month, just doing all this stuff because I thought, oh, this money will always, like my salary will always be like this.
Yeah.
And I was wrong.
All right. My expression here is to get something off the ground. This is to get a project, get a business, get something started. You need to get it off the ground. So I always, being an entrepreneur, I get many people coming up to me asking me, pitching to me or talking to me about business advice or what to do. And I find many people spend way too much talking and planning, not enough time actually doing it. So my advice to everyone would be get something off the ground, then come and talk to us.
Good advice. Last word. Go down the drain. Go down the drain. When something goes down the drain, it means it is wasted or lost. Right? So a drain is like something in a sink, right? Like water flows down it. So it's like maybe it could be an opportunity that gets blown. So you wasted an opportunity. So your opportunity went down the drain.
Yeah.
What else could go down the drain?
Your girlfriend breaks up with you, then your life goes down the drain.
Oh, that's sad.
But that's the expression. Your life goes down the drain. You get fired from your job. You know,
Yeah,
going down the drain.
Yeah, or like we said earlier, easy come, easy go. Money can easily go down the drain.
Exactly.
When you start spending it all.
All right, everyone. Thank you. If you would like notes in the handout for today's episode, please visit finec.com/ICRT. I'm Russ.
And I'm Ting.
Thank you.
See you next week.